recording. So everybody will probably get a, do you approve this? All right. So QR codes, it looked like based on our survey, a lot of you have not used them in training. So I'm excited to introduce you to some of the ways that you can use them. My first question for those of you who are here today is, do you know how to scan QR codes with a device? And do you have a device with you? Because we're going to do a lot of that during our training today. Yes, I'm seeing yeses. Anybody, is there anyone who doesn't know how to scan a QR code? Looks like we're all okay.
Don't you just, do you just go to picture mode? Is that it? And then scan from there? Is that it?
With most phone cameras have it built in. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So first things first, how do you make a QR code? If you're going to use them, then you have to know how to make them. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways. There are a couple different programs for desktop you can use. There is QR Code Monkey and Shopify. Both have QR code generators. They are both free. So let me go. I'm going to switch the screen I'm sharing here. Let's see. Take me a sec here. Share screen. Share. All right. Are you now seeing the browser window with QR Code Monkey in it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is a simple QR code maker. Basically, in this bar here with your URL, you just put what you want to share. So let's say we're going to share childcare aware. Or childcare aware ky.org. Is it .org? I think so. All right. So then you can set the colors that you want it to be. So there's a nice little color picker here. Black is fine for most applications, but if you have, say, this training, you'll see that I use some different colors. You can add an image. They give you images, or you can upload an image. And if you want to customize the design, you can get fancy. And you can change the shape of the dots. You can change and what the corner pieces look like. So for example, I'll change it to that. And then you click create. And there's the QR code. And if you click that, it'll take you to the website. So making them is really that easy. So this is QR Code Monkey. I'm going to switch and show you the cell phone app that we found that you can make QR codes with too. The cell phone app is called QR Tiger. It is available on Android phones and iOS. So you can use either kind of phone. And let me pull up. Got it. And share. Okay. And screen start. And do you see QR code Tiger?
Yes.
All right. So here's the cell phone app. So this one has a scanner in it or creating a code. And you see there's different kinds of codes you can make. So to make a QR code here, same kind of thing. You're just going to type the address that you want the QR code to take someone to. And yep, it's popping up there. Now you can do this with anything, and you'll see examples of different kinds of things. You can send it to a website. You could send it to a Google Doc. You could send it to a Google Sheet or a slide presentation. You could send it to a playlist or a YouTube video. So there's lots of uses for it. And is it not like the capital? Let's see. Okay. And then this lets you pick kind of the same way. You can pick what kind of a pattern you want, and it'll refresh as you go to show you what you're creating. So there's lots of different styles of dots. Eyes is what they call those 3 corner pieces. So you can pick the kind of corner pieces you want. Logo, you can, again, upload a logo, or you could even put, like, if you have a trainer logo, or you could even put something that says scan me as your logo in the middle. And then again, you pick your colors. It'll let you kind of click on it and you could move the slider around, or if you're trying to match maybe a marketing piece that you're doing, you can pick colors that match. If you want a different color for the middle of your eyes, let's see, pick blue. And it'll refresh and show you exactly what it would look like. Now, I don't love this look. I wouldn't make it look like this, but again, I'm just playing with settings so you can see how you would make it. And transparent background would let you put it, say, on top of a photo. If you were making something that had a photo or a textured background, you probably want to do it in a solid color at that point. And then you just click download. And it would let you save that to your images. So it's that easy to create a QR code. So they're not very hard to make. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to sharing on my computer. Yes. Okay. Get back to. All right. So does anybody have any questions about how to make a QR code? Pretty straightforward.
It's really easy, straightforward. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, regardless of what you're using, there's desktop options, there's cell phone options, so they're not very hard to make. So now, cautions for QR codes. You want to make sure that they do not expire. Okay. There are some sites that'll let you make them for free, but they're going to expire in a month or two. Not a big deal if it's a 1-day training, but also not something you want to put on marketing materials that you're going to have around for 6 months. So if you're making QR codes, the sources I just gave you, they don't expire. The 3 things, yeah, if you have them on a flyer, they can expire. But that QR code monkey and QR code tiger and the Shopify, they don't expire. And that's why I picked those 3 resources for you guys. Make sure there's an internet connection so you can read the codes in wherever you're doing your training, because obviously you don't want to plan all this great stuff and then people don't have access to use them. And then make sure everyone has a device to read the codes. Most people bring a cell phone with them, but if you have an older cell phone that's Wi-Fi capable, you could use an older device or a tablet and have something extra for your participants who may have forgotten their cell phone or left a device at home. And you might want to warn participants before that you're going to use QR code training in your training, so to bring a device.
Yeah, and Julie, there's 2 people in chat. Elizabeth said that she didn't know that you could change colors, and she thinks that's a great thing. And then Andrea actually said that they did have them on a flyer and it did expire. So. Yes.
Yeah. So that is one important one, is to make sure that wherever you're making your QR codes at, that they don't expire if it's something that you're going to use over time. All right. So now we're going to talk about, oh, we've got people in the waiting room. Let me let them in. Okay. So, all right, we have lots of ways we're going to talk about that you can use the QR codes in your training. So you can use them for sign-in, for directions, for self-check, for marketing, for extra resources, save yourself some copying budget and give the resources electronically, and even more, and evaluation links. So we're going to start with our first activity for you guys today. For sign-in, go ahead and use your devices and click that link and go ahead and sign in to this training. It's not for credit, but this just gives you an example of how you can use the code. And I'm going to do it too, just so I have an idea of how long it takes you guys. Let's see. Open in browser. And the forms that I have on this form here are exactly what's on the TRIS sign-in sheet that they provide for us. That's the example. And you'll notice that what I have here too lets you sign with your finger. It's not just to type your name. The last question on this form actually lets you sign with, so you have that captured signature. I see lots of people looking at their phones. How's it going? What if your camera doesn't scan QR codes? I would go grab that QR Tiger app because that has a scanner at the top of it before you make QR codes.
Hey, Dawn, do you have an Android?
Sorry, you couldn't see my head, but I could see yours. Yes, I have an Android.
Yeah. So on my Android, it's in a funny spot. Like you have to go up to and bring the whole thing down, you know, like where your Bluetooth is, and then go to the second page and there's actually a scan QR code icon.
And just to share for the birth, excuse me, for the birth date, it says 2-digit month / 2-digit day, but it also requires you to put the year in or it kicks it back.
Okay, well, my bad on setting that one up.
Hey, Julie.
Yes.
Is there a place to like create something like this and then save it?
Qualtrics is a place where you can make free forms. I don't know if there's a way for me to share the Qualtrics form with you, or I can just share the fields that I use to create it, but I could actually put that up with this video, with the trainer connection video. Was everybody able to do that? Yes?
Yes.
So that would be a way you could do a sign into a training. Did anybody have any questions about that?
So where does it go once people sign in? What do you see?
I would get a spreadsheet where I can see everything. So you can download that spreadsheet and have a record of everybody who came to your training. And that's part of what you get when you do the Qualtrics forms, is you can see all the responses all in one sheet. The website is Qualtrics. And there is a free version of it. I know UK has a version. Let me paste the website into the chat. Let's see. I have so many windows up. Here we go. Paste. There's the Qualtrics website. All right.
Julie?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Would you mind if, I don't know if you'd plan on doing this or not, but showing us your screen when you go to Qualtrics? And
I can do that. Sure.
Like show us how to take the code and connect the two. Does that make sense? Or maybe I'm just not understanding.
So when you make a Qualtrics form, let's see, I can probably do this. I gotta go to, there's a special UK login for us, I believe. Basically, after you create the form, you would take the URL of the form and put it into the QR code maker, just like I did with, say, Childcare Aware. Because at their essence, QR codes are basically just a quick link. You're giving people an image instead of having to type out the link. Let's see.
So if we're doing, say, you and I, we haven't met, but I'm the supervisor for PD at the Department of Child Care.
Yeah.
So if we're doing a TOT, and we need everyone to sign in, then we show the screen as you are showing yours. And we could, and it would go straight to Qualtrics.
And then it would give you a spreadsheet to download when you're done.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Julie, doesn't it give you a notification when you set it up on Qualtrics? Like when everything goes into that? Like when you do a survey, isn't it the same way as when you do a survey on Qualtrics, you get a notification that shows that everything's there? I think that's what they're asking, how they know where to get it once they.
Oh yeah, where to get it, you yes, you would get it from wherever you set your form up. And like I said, I used Qualtrics. I am in Qualtrics in my other window.
But can't you also, like, I have a website, so I would just set that to go to the form on our website.
It could be a form on your website. It could be a Google form. It could be anywhere you decide to create your form.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that's
any
fine.
way that you can make a form. Trainings. Let's see. Well, here we go. I have 3 screens here. So that's the Trainers Connection registration we had for this time, and under results, there's reports. No reports. Let's see. Where is it? Okay, so there's the responses. And then you can export and just.
We cannot hear you right now, Julie.
Sorry, I'm leaned back. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So so you can export all of the data that's submitted in a form with one click. Can you see that now? Are you seeing the Qualtrics screen? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But you can do that with Google Forms. You can do that with whatever form builder your website uses. So that's one quick way to get someone to a form, and you can do that for sign-ins. You can also do that for evaluation. All right, let me go ahead and shut this, and let's move on to our next thing that we can do with QR codes. Directions. All right, so you can use QR codes, say, when you're doing a face-to-face training or online for that matter, if you had directions for an activity, but to help people get to your training room. So I'm going to put up an image, and up at the top of your screen, do you know how to find the annotate tool? You find the annotate, wants you to go to the directions here. And all right, so I want you to follow the directions at the QR code and use annotate to mark the room where the training is taking place. So you've just arrived at the really confusing, colorful training center. Find your way to the room using the directions. Is everybody able to pull up the directions with the QR code?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Oh, yep. I see some marks on the screen. I'm going to hold this and back up so I can see better. Yes. Yes, we're finding it. Yes, the training was in the big white room at the top. But that is a way when you are doing a training somewhere where it's really confusing, that you can then post something like that at the entrance. So to help people find their way to your room and give them, it's called just-in-time information. So just in time when people need it, because a lot of people may not remember to print out the email that had the directions to the room in the building, but you can post something at the entrance to somewhere so that, and give them directions to get to your room. So that is a way you could use that. You could also use it for directions in an online training. Say maybe an extra resource that you're letting somebody use during a quiz. You could put that with the quiz directions at the top. But QR codes are great for extra directions or other just-in-time information.
Julie, could you explain where you turn on annotate? Because I couldn't get the pen to work.
Sure. And my screen's a little different than yours.
At the top of your screen, it says you are viewing Julie's screen, and then there's a view options. You click that arrow, and then you click annotate, and it comes up with a bar of options. You can either draw or use a stamp. And then from the draw, you can pick which one you want to use.
Thank you, Bethany.
Sorry, I'm
No, I
viewer,
appreciate
so I
that
figured
because I
would
have
be
3
easier.
screens and mine does not look the same as a participant screen. So that was really
Yeah.
helpful. Let's see, just looking in the chat. Perfect for scenarios. Yep. All right, we're going to go on to the next one. And this was created by April. So self-check. So go ahead and click that QR code, or go ahead and read that QR code.
We may need the drawings cleared for it to read the QR code.
Okay, let's see. Good call. Annotate, clear all. Okay. Has everybody been able to scan that QR code?
Yes.
Yes. Did you see it came up with text for you and instructions, right? Without having to look at anything else? That's another way, the text-based QR codes. So you could use that to self-check, say a quiz answers. Instead of giving somebody an answer key, they can just turn it over and read. They have to actually click something to get to it. So they're less likely to cheat before they've actually done it. You could use it to get them to answers to games or quizzes or questions. So that's another fun way that you can use QR codes. Any questions about that?
Hey, Julie?
Yes.
Is that when you make the QR code, there's a place there that says to...
There's a place there that says text. I know it was there in QR Code Monkey, and there are different types of codes that you can make. This one was one that took, instead of a URL, took you to text. So this is a text type QR code.
Okay, so when it says text, that's what this means. This is the most awesome thing ever. I just want to play with this.
There are lots of fun things you can do with QR codes. All right, the next use of QR codes is for marketing materials. So everybody, why don't you pick the first QR code and see if you can read that and let me know where it takes you. CCA, yes. All right, and you guys want to try the second one? I know I gave you 2 on the slide.
Takes you to the Kentucky Trainers Credentialed group in Facebook.
Yes. So you can put those on marketing materials to get people to information as well, whether you have a trainer page where you have the trainings you offer listed, or you're sharing flyers about trainings. I was actually at the Early Childhood Institute this morning, and we had a flyer for the new Kentucky version of the CDC Watch Me course, and I have a QR code on there. I also, on that flyer, we also had a QR code to go order Learn the Signs Act Early materials to send people to the order page for that. So any kind of thing where you want to give people that quick access to go to information, QR codes are great for that. All right, here is another example. Now, let's see how you do with this one and where it takes you. So what'd you get? Not working for you. A link tree with lots of resources.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't get it to pop up anything either.
It worked for me.
I think some phones have more trouble with the color. That is something that I discovered when I was doing this, and I left it this way just to see how you guys would do with it as well. So the color ones can cause problems sometimes, but this is a link tree. So instead of linking someone to one resource, this is a link of lots of resources. So in this case, it's trainer resources that you guys could use. And this is something that I have in my email signature that people can get to, that link tree link. But it could be all sorts of resources on your training topic. It could be a whole link of resources. Rather than printing lots of stuff out that people may or may not keep, you could send them to a link tree like this with resources about your topic. and then they can have access to that later. Any questions or comments on this one?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have in the past used like scanned a QR code and then walked away. And then this might sound really crazy because, I'm not techie, but then it goes away or I lose it. So do I just find it back in my history?
You can find it in your history, or you can have people take a picture of the QR code. Tell everybody, take a picture of this, and it'll get you to those resources. And then you could read it off of the picture.
Okay. So you can just take a picture.
Or you could give them a single printout that has the one QR code on it instead of copying, say, 20 pages. You give them one page, and that gets them to all the resources on their phone.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yep. You can also mail resources after the fact on a postcard, put a QR code on a postcard to send to people. Okay. Any other questions about this one?
You know what I also just thought when you said that?
Uh-huh.
And this for QR codes. So I don't always want to let everyone know the information on a postcard. Right?
Yeah.
So if you had a QR code, people aren't just going to scan that because they're busy, right? So you could be able to put a letter or something on a QR code if you were using a postcard, right?
You could. It could be a link to a letter.
Yeah, a link to a letter for someone.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. All right. So we are going to do
Julie,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, before you move on, Elizabeth is asking, is Linktree free?
Linktree is free. A basic Linktree is free. If you want to customize your colors some more and add background images, they charge for that, but the basic Linktree is free if you're okay with a pretty simple design.
And then Cynthia actually said that she has put QR codes on the back of her business card.
Yep, that's another great way to use QR codes.
Yeah.
Anything else in regards to this one? All right, let's see. We have 25 people. I'm gonna go to the next slide. Now it's your turn to evaluate 5 more possible uses for QR codes in trainings. First thing I want you to do is go ahead and go to that link, follow that QR code, and that's going to take you to a Google Slides activity. That's a shared document we will all be able to see and use after this training. I'm going to make random groups of 5 people in each group, and your group number will be the other use that I want you to evaluate. There's 2 slides for each group. There's a slide with the use and a slide and yes or no, why you would use that or not. Okay. Does everybody understand? Were you able to pull it up?
It's not letting me pull it up this time. I'm not finding it.
It's not letting you pull it up?
It just says tap to scan and then we'll save the image, but it's not pulling anything up.
Well, hold on a sec. I am gonna.
My phone was able to get it.
Your phone got it?
Yeah, I had to scoot back a little bit and let it refocus.
And I can get a link to put in the chat as well if we're having problems. Edit. Share. Copy link. Took you to a Google Doc. Yep, it's a Google slideshow. That is correct. All right, so I'm going to randomly send us to breakouts, and I'll give us maybe 10 minutes to look at your use and decide if you would use it, the reasons you would or wouldn't use it. And here we go. Let's see. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, see you guys in 10 minutes. Hello, everyone. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share the screen of the document you guys were working on. And okay, so other uses. So let's go use 1, group 1. You want to tell us about this use and what you thought about it? Do you know what your group is?
I'm from group 1. I mean group 3, if you'd want group 3 to speak.
Group
Or
1, did you look
wait?
at use 1?
I don't remember what group I was in. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I can pull it up. I know as a participant, I don't always remember. So
we thought we were group 2.
Yeah, we're group 2.
Okay.
I think.
Breakout rooms. So Andrea, Dawn, Elizabeth, Melissa, Tina, someone want to report on use 1?
Sure. We talked about that. We would have concerns if you're using it with children because they may not have devices, or we may want to limit the time on device. Yes. But if we're thinking about using this with adults, with teachers in training, we thought there could definitely be some uses for it. So maybe like if they were, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but you said, I think it was like if you scanned it and then it would give them several ideas of what to do, like at that particular place, or resources to go with that topic.
Oh, I see. It's in the notes. Okay.
We embedded it. Yeah, we put it underneath, and then so you can see ours there. And then one concern was that maybe it would put the focus on looking at your screen instead of like a natural conversation that would happen between participants. So pros and cons.
Pros and cons. Awesome. That's great. All right. Use 2, group 2. And group 2 is, do you know who you are?
Yeah. So that was, Julie.
Okay. So we typed ours in too, but I don't see that information. So I'm not sure if I can remember. Let's see.
Was it the next? Oh, there we go. Do you see it now?
Yes. So we liked it because we said yes. We were able to record the information on the spot and in breakouts. That way we don't have to jot down notes. And the fact that one of our questions was, would we all be able to see what we wrote down afterwards?
Yes.
So one of the people in our group shared their screen, which is how we ended up typing. And then each group can scan and document their thoughts on the Google slide. I think that's fantastic. And it would save a lot of time in giving directions and taking pictures of scenarios. So
yes.
Yeah, we said definitely yes.
Definitely yes. Okay. That's great. Group 3, use 3, audio instructions or a music playlist.
That's actually our notes from group 2 on there.
Oh, okay.
But not the last one. Linda, were we 3?
We were 3.
Okay. So we were kind of thrown off by the image at first. We thought, well, if it's a child, then no.
Yeah.
And one group member said, well, maybe that child should help me because the child would probably know more about how to use this than I would. But for adults, we said yes. We had some of the same reasons that were listed, but then we also added, and thinking about different learning styles, if there were written instructions or scan the QR code to be able to listen to instructions and to be guided to a particular playlist.
Absolutely. Yeah, that could be helpful even in a asynchronous online course. If you have somebody who has visual issues, you could give them the auditory instructions that way, just for accessibility and universal design. That could be a way that you use the audio. All right, group 4. Who would like to talk about it? See, group 4 was...
Apparently no one else is going to speak, so I will.
Okay, thank you, Alice.
Well, we had some tech issues. It took us a little bit to figure out where we were supposed to be. So when we finally figured out we were in this group, we had tech problems trying to figure out how to type it in. So what we talked about was I think the yeses on this would be, it would be a great way, and Julie helped us come to this conclusion, that if it was a scavenger hunt, each individual had their own way of clicking the scan code to get the clue, and it wouldn't be one of those that everybody got the same clue at the same time to move to the next thing. Problems we thought maybe was if people didn't have the ability to scan, or the internet wasn't working well at the location, that could be a problem. And then of course we also talked about age. If it's adults, it would work really well, but with kids it may not.
Okay.
I think that's mainly what we said. I don't know if anybody else in my group wants to chime in or not.
Anything else? Anyone else in that group?
Nope, that was it.
Okay.
I'm not from that group, but I have a question. If there are some like big cities use this as a citywide scavenger hunt, or like for tourist attractions. I just wondered if anyone's ever done that and come across some of the issues that that the group mentioned, or anything else, if anyone's ever visited a place that uses these.
We've used them before, and when we would go on a cruise with, in my other business that I work with, we would give them all, and we would put QR codes throughout the ship to get them, to teach them where our training is going to be each day, or where the food is going to be, and where this is going to be. So they did a scavenger hunt to figure out exactly where they need to be each part of the day, and it worked really well. So you could probably do that in any kind of building or things like that. But so we showed them all around the area by using the scavenger hunts.
So one of the things I have now that's popped into my head because of things people are saying, how do you solve a problem where somebody doesn't have the technology to participate in this? If you're using QR codes, how do you use QR codes, but then also have something for somebody who doesn't have that technology? I was a parent who didn't let my kids have a phone until they were like 13. And, I know now, maybe I would have let them get earlier, have it earlier, but that was something that was frustrating for me, for a child to be using that. Now we're working with adults with training, but, not everybody has a cell phone or some sort of tablet. So what do you do?
I think that was our negative when we were talking about it. That was one of our negatives. Like if they didn't, or you didn't have the reception, or it was a younger kid who didn't have one. I think the only way that you could avoid it is just to list it wherever you're listing this scavenger hunt or advertisement. You would have to say, you will need technology in order to participate. I mean, I think you would have to have a disclaimer on there stating that somehow. Or if it was for a class, it would be just like, you have to buy this book, you have to have something that reads a QR code, or you have to have a calculator, or, you would have to make it a prerequisite of some kind.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In a training, if you're doing a scavenger hunt in a training, what you can do to get around this is have people do it in groups. There's always going to be someone who has it. So if someone doesn't have it, they'll group up with someone who does have it. So you could say, like if you're in person, you could say, make sure someone in your group has a device that reads QR codes.
Or if you have extra devices, because I know I have an extra tablet that I normally don't use, or if you have an old cell phone that you're not using that has wireless access and you're somewhere with internet, like somebody could use the old cell phone to read the QR code potentially.
That's a great idea.
So
I mean, I can remember, I remember way back when we were trying to do cameras in the classroom and allowing children to use them. People were bringing in old cell phones just to use for cameras.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I think one of the perks of being able to pair people too is that if you have somebody that's not comfortable with the electronics, the other person can help them.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. It would be a great way to get everyone to understand the technology. I had just remembered, I pulled off on the side of the road at this beautiful place, and, you know, and it was like historic place, and they had a QR code. This was just recently. I think I was in South Carolina. And when I did the QR code, it actually went to a video about that place. And so that was really neat to stand there in that spot and to watch the video of like how that cabin was made. But to do that, you'd have to, you know, of course, have connection to be able to do that. So it couldn't be used everywhere, but it did work in that spot. So, but in training and using it for training, you would make sure you had connection, you could pair up, and I think most of the problems could be solved with that.
Yep. I want to make sure we get to our group 5, and they had a link to a survey or a vote.
And talk for group 5. So we had a great discussion. So we said for a vote type survey, some of the same things that were discussed by the other groups would play into account. So a benefit would be accessibility. You would also want to make sure that you've got the Wi-Fi and the technology. Depending on your delivery method, it could be a really great way. If it's a face-to-face training, it's an easy way to do a survey. It's also anonymous, so that could help people feel more comfortable. For an on-demand training, Julie, you mentioned asynchronous. As long as you don't mind if the survey gets added to, it could kind of be one of those cumulative surveys over time, and you could use the QR code. On the downside, for some trainings and some types of simple surveys, it might just be simpler to use, like, for example, if it's a live webinar, it might be simpler to just use a Zoom poll. Or if it's face-to-face and it's a really safe, quick survey, it might just be a show of hands or something. And then we also talked that you'd want to make sure, when possible, to also be providing the website link so that if people needed that as a backup.
Yes. And does everybody know about how to do short links for long website addresses? Related, not the same topic, but related. If you go to
do you mean Bitly?
Bitly, yes.
No.
Bitly is basic. It's free. And it's bit.ly. Make sure I get this right. .ly.com. And very similar to how you make a QR code, basically you can do bit.ly/ and it'll come up with a default for you. Let me do another screen share here if you guys have a sec. Sorry, my camera's in front of my share screen button. Okay. Okay. So here's Bitly. So this is the Bitly website. So you can see, actually, I created one this morning that is the link to download the new Learn Their Signs Act early materials from them. When you create a link, you just click create, you enter the URL you want the short link to go to. Let's say it's going to be childcare aware. And click create. And then you can customize the back half when it comes up here. So I could do CCAKY and save. Someone has already used that already. So CCAKY WWW maybe. Okay, so if I put that in now, that short link will get someone to that website. It's kind of like the text instead of a QR code, but it's also a lot less for somebody to type in a cell phone to get to a website if they can't click a link. So it's good for flyers in particular, or places where you can't click the link where you're going to type it in. So you can take the long links and turn them short. So that's bit.ly. All right, real quick, gonna come back to wrap us up here and share screen. All right, I've got a lot of windows open. Here we go. Have you registered for Trainers Institute yet? Trainers Institute is coming up. The whole institute is only $20.22 for as many sessions as you want to take. So do take advantage of that. There is a QR code link to that. If you
some of them are closed though already because they're full.
I think there's only one. There were 2 that were closed and we opened up spots in one of them. The hybrid training is unfortunately closed. That's a hard cap because of the hybrid training model, but we did put more spots in the debrief training. I think that's the other one. So if you need to add something, you could email to add something.
Awesome.
Okay. And let's see, Candace, take it away. You are muted.
Okay, now you can hear me.
Yes.
So I'm super excited to do this with you guys next month. So growing your confidence as a presenter. And here's our code. So you can register right now. So this is going to be about, you have your training all ready. You've done all your work to get it ready. And now you have to present it either in person or virtually. And it's just about growing your confidence and keeping the attention of your participants. So presenting your content in a way that keeps their attention and that you feel really good about it. And everything from like looking at the camera, if you're doing this virtually, and body language, and just a whole bunch of really fun things. So I'm super excited. It's my first training that I get to do with you guys, or Trainers Connection. So come watch me and be really nice.
All right. And it is 3:01 now. So we filled our time today. I'm going to hang out if you have more questions. April was unfortunately not able to be here with me today, but she did help me brainstorm the content for this session. So if you have questions, you can get a hold of either one of us. And I hope you learned some good stuff today.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
You are very welcome.
Thank you.
I did learn something. Thanks.
Yep, you're welcome.
I enjoyed that. I was saying one of the things in our breakout was that I'm not don't enjoy online classes. I just don't think they're very effective for me. But I enjoyed this. I felt like it was way more interactive than any session that I've taken online before. And I think that's important.
Good.
So thank you.
You're very welcome.